General nerdery.
God, that hasn't happened in a while. I forgot that I'm the one that starts this podcast. We are recording at a different time than we normally do, and that is throwing me off. But welcome to General Nerdery. We're your generals of nerdery. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
And with us is my brother from another mother, my best bud, the Yaga Malark.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me.
Yay, you're finally on.
We've only been discussing this since you joined Earworm, 2 years ago now?
A plague happened. It's
yeah,
all right.
no, there's...
Probably technically before.
Oh, yeah. You've been on you've been on our list since forever, but
It was fated.
well, yeah.
It was fated, and it's hard to get Zach to talk about 40K.
It's also hard to get Malark and I in the same room at the same time, despite how close we are, because we run, and this is the problem we had when we were on the podcast together, exact opposite schedules. I'd get up at 4 a.m. being like, this fucking sucks, and I have a text from him, send it back. He replies immediately. I'm like, oh, god damn it, he hasn't even gone to bed yet.
I work at night, so...
Yeah, no, 100% opposite.
Fun.
Malark, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I just got done with my students. I do a gladiator program where I go and I whip some high schoolers and teach them how to fight in the process. And
We should explain he does foam fighting with me. This is
yeah.
Belagarth stuff.
I just be
He's
a high
just
schooler.
not kicking high schoolers' asses out of nowhere.
I will
You got to.
I will say, I picked him up from the high school today, which one was just funny to me. And then two, sitting outside the high school as a very bald 30-something-year-old man, just waiting and trying not to make eye contact with anyone, being like, I promise I'm not a weirdo.
But it's almost better going in there with my garb on because then I look less threatening. I mean, I'm still in my
You are a
mid-30s,
weirdo, but we're not
Right,
we're
they're
not
not
for our
that kind of
children.
weirdo.
he must be here to do something. But if I would just walk around like jeans and a t-shirt being like, thup, I'm here to hit kids, they'd be like, oh, okay.
Actually, it's been a long time since we haven't had a recurring guest on.
Yeah.
Malark, what are your nerd bona fides?
God, I forgot that we did that.
Days. All right. Well, I have been a nerd since I was a wee one. In terms of reading, I've always read, I don't know, it might be geeky or nerdy things. I enjoy old books. I enjoy old literature of all sorts, especially when it deals with religious manuals and military science stuff. It just absolutely fascinates me. And so I've been talking about stuff that my peers didn't understand for a long-ass time. Of course, was a part of the Lord of the Rings craze.
I was going to say, you're a big Tolkien guy.
Yep. Lovecraft, when we're ignoring all the racist crap.
We had a whole episode about that,
Did you?
actually.
Yeah.
Your fave is problematic.
Yeah, that guy. Mm-hmm. But in terms of gaming and that sort of thing, Cthulhu, yeah.
And Reanimator right next to you.
Oh, outstanding.
Sorry, we're talking about a bunch of
Surrounded.
things that our listeners cannot see.
Right? Oh, well.
Gosh.
The room is decked out.
It is. It's very. I can testify to this. But yeah, of course, I've done D&D and that sort of thing, and then in high school, I got into Belagarth, which I'm sure Thumbs has talked to you about in terms of just the whacking people with the foam sticks.
So Malark and I met together my freshman year of high school, his sophomore, because we were in Fahrenheit 451 together as an after-school play. So let that just sit as nerd creds for a moment there.
We were techies, and then at the very end, I got to be Dostoevsky.
Yeah, we
and-
got 2 speaking lines each, and we moved a couch. And then one day I'm playing Belagarth out at Bonner Park, and I look over, and a dude just drops out of a tree.
That was me.
And I was like, hey, Nick, what's up, buddy? He's like, what are you doing? And you had that kind of head tilt thing that you did at the time, because we were, edgy 16-year-olds in 2003. And I was like, I think you would like this. And I was right.
Oh, yes. And so, yeah, I've been doing that ever since. Been all over the country doing that. And then Warhammer 40K is a more recent love of mine. I'm apparently doing it for 5 years. I wouldn't have told you that, except time gets weird as you get older.
Well, also COVID. I keep having the thought
COVID
of
time.
I just started this thing. I'm like, you started before COVID. That was 3 years ago.
Right?
Compressed time. That's right. But yeah, so and I've enjoyed that. I've played just about every army there is in terms of 40K because I've bought an army, sold an army, bought an army, sold an army, and I absolutely love it. And so most of these things are still true. I still read old books. I still talk about said books, and I still like to push little plastic figurines on a table. So
Fun.
I think those are my bona fides.
All right. Before we get into 40K, though, what have we been ingesting this week?
Okay, I have another big week. Because I was feeling under the weather again earlier this week.
Was
so
it
I ended
Elden
up
Ring
with
again?
Okay. There was a lot of Elden Ring, but I will leave it at I just got my 3 big bosses, basically.
Nice.
Moog, Lord of Blood, the Fire Giant, and Millennia, Blade of Mikola.
I think you would like this game from what I've seen of it, but
I've heard that it's a lot like Dark Souls, and I enjoy my games to not stress me out further, because like life is stressful
It's
already.
not as stressful.
No.
So that's the brilliant thing. I tried Dark Souls, couldn't get into it. I tried a bunch of the FromSoft games, couldn't get into it. This is the first one I was able to get into because they fixed the biggest problem. It's truly an open world.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So if you get stuck on a boss, you're not bashing your head against a fucking wall repeatedly. You can just fuck off and do something else for a bit.
Level up a little bit more or something.
Dark Souls Skyrim edition.
Okay, that's a little bit better.
Oh yeah, you're a huge Skyrim guy. That's the thing we left out.
Oh yeah, I video game like a mother. I love Skyrim, Inquisition, ESO, anything except for most FPSs, because the whiny shooter boys are just, I'm over them. They're nasty.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that. There was a lot of Elden Ring. No, actually, what there was a shit ton of was Marvel shit. Finally watched Black Widow.
It's good.
It's fine.
It's not revolutionary by any means. I
liked it, but my problem throughout it all was my brain kept wanting to check out based on the fact that it all should have happened 6 years ago.
That 100% agree with you there.
Watched Eternals.
How was it?
I liked it more than Black Widow.
Fair enough.
It doesn't need to be as long as it is by any means.
Most 3-hour movies don't.
Oh Lord.
It needs
I don't know if it's full 3, but it's long.
It's close. It's long. It needs like 500% more Black Knight.
Usually, yes.
Who needs to be 500% more of a mess.
100% yes. The guy who plays Jon Snow in
Kit Harington
is set up to play a Marvel superhero named Black Knight, who is cursed with a evil sword and has to fight the evil sword to keep him from going into becoming a murder machine. And because of this, he is
a shit
the
show.
worst.
So this is an allusion to masturbating being good. Is that what I'm coming
Sure, yeah. If that's the lesson you want to get from it.
And I don't know, like, it was an extremely well done movie overall, but I think every movie that's going to try to introduce a team needs to take lessons from James Gunn at this point on how you introduce a team in 10 minutes and then move on. Because
there's the people, you're used to it, let's go. Guardians of the Galaxy had that shit down.
A lot of fucking Eternals, and you don't even meet all of them till halfway through the movie.
And most of the Eternals are pretty forgettable. I know this because I've read Eternals, and I can only name 2 of them.
However, I think I enjoyed it more than Black Widow.
Fair enough.
It was pretty dope, really, when it comes down to it. I read everything Jason Aaron Avengers.
Oh, so that's 50+ issues in a weekend.
In 2 days.
2 days.
Loved most of it. I feel like it gets weaker towards the end, but I don't know how much of that's his fault and how much of it is there was a bunch of events going back to back and it makes the team book weaker.
It suffers from that. Also, there was the big Heroes Reborn crossover, and he was going to do a big team change that just happened, and that in-between point is usually a little rough in a team book.
What's that new thing, though? The Avengers Infinity? Is that the new...
Avengers Forever.
Forever.
It's real good.
Fucking loving it. Tony Stark Ant-Man is great.
And
you just say Tony Stark Ant-Man?
Avengers Forever is a book that's the Avengers across the multiverse.
Oh.
So it's a Tony Stark that became an Ant-Man with a little...
The Iron
Ant robotic thing to hang out with him, and a Ghost Rider who travels across the wasteland punishing the wicked.
While also kind of being a Mad Max Avenger.
Yes. It's Mad Max Ghost Rider.
Okay.
Also, that's Aaron Cooter on the art, who's gotten really fucking good.
Oh, and just because I've mentioned how much I love the series before, and I'm kind of embarrassed that it took me this long to actually get around to the spinoff, I finally watched Human Resources on Netflix, which is the spinoff of Big Mouth. It's actually more emotionally poignant than Big Mouth, but I didn't like it as much. Although it did make me cry, whereas Big Mouth didn't, so.
Interesting.
Well,
I didn't know it had a spinoff even.
Well, since Big Mouth is basically just, puberty up, inside out. So you have personifications of all the emotions going on.
But it's like horniness.
Except it's by far the raunchiest show I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Wow.
Like, far and away.
You have HBO, right?
Yes. This is beyond. It uses the craziness of animation to be able to get to like some... It's very uncomfortably true. Like, the things that hormone monsters are telling the kids to do, you're like, oh yeah, I remember feeling that as a junior high kid. So the spin-off Human Resources is more about all of the creatures, the hormone monsters, the anxiety mosquitoes, the depression kitties, the shame wizard. Yeah, these are all just things that exist.
that all... Even not having seen the show, I can identify moments that I would have encountered any of those.
And I don't know. It's one of those shows that I think it picked the wrong main character to follow.
Yeah, that happens.
And I kind of didn't care for the most part, but it had one episode that was just so fucking beautiful where this character's grandma, who's been battling Alzheimer's, dies. And it follows her journey as all of her creatures leave her except for her love bug, who's just continually showing her the things she loved throughout her life as she's on her way out. And
that's a lot to drop on someone in a 20-minute animated comedy.
And then at the end, transfers to her trans granddaughter, who's one of the best characters in the series anyway. And holy fuck, it wrecked me.
Damn, that sounds like a trip.
Let's see.
And that's it, yeah.
Yeah, what did I did... Oh, I started Strange New Worlds, the newest Star Trek.
Ooh, okay.
It is so fucking good. And I mean, like, okay, you've listened to the show before. You know that I am biased as fuck when it comes to Star Trek. But I went in knowing the show was going to be good. Because they've just been knocking it out of the park with every series so far. I haven't watched Picard enough to say, but all the others I've watched have been good. But I went in, like, kind of fighting how good I was pretty sure it was going to be, because I kept reading reviews being like, this is the Star Trek show we actually wanted, not all the ones we got before. I'm like, no, fuck you. Those shows were great.
Those are great Star Treks. What are they talking about?
And these mean, like, Discovery, Lower Decks, the stuff that's come out within the last, 5 years.
Okay.
Which
Lower
you
Decks
would love.
is so good.
I will get them to you. You would love them.
Okay.
Lower Decks is the strongest first season Star Trek anything.
Oh, easily.
That one's just about the plebes, right? Just like the random
it's like
people.
the 3 lowest ranking people on the ship.
Nice.
On the ship that specializes in second contact.
Oh, good.
But it actually takes the time to tell really good Star Trek stories while doing that. So there's still, here's a sentient talking nebula, and we're not sure what to do with this. Or here's a virus or whatever. But Strange New Worlds is a prequel to the original Star Trek.
Okay.
In the first pilot, before Kirk was captain, there was a character named Christopher Pike. That show did not get picked up, but they liked it enough that they they let them do a new pilot, rework it a little bit, and try again. The only returning character was Spock. So, and they, instead of redoing this, they just said that was the previous captain of the Enterprise before Kirk took over.
Okay.
And they actually did basically a clip show episode where they used bits from that as Spock is on trial. But so they made this Pike canon, but we'd never seen much of him. And he showed up in Discovery, which was really good. So they gave him his own TV show. And while Discovery has been long form storytelling, like the whole season tells one story, or Lower Decks is a comedy, and Prodigy is a kid's show, a good kid's show, but a kid's show. This is the one that is classic Star Trek format. Each episode is a one-off. Characters have their own ongoing arcs, but we've come to Planet 7. These guys are about to go to Civil War. Let's do this shit. And it does... As much as I have argued that the new Star Trek shows are doing things that we have needed for, Star Trek to exist in the modern day, it does my soul good to have, one-off moral lessons.
Sure.
And in the Civil War episode, these people have created a bomb and they're going to kill each other with a Civil War, yada, 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 Star Trek plot number 7.
Right.
Pike beams down and starts showing them moments from Earth history as, this is what will happen to you if you don't shut up and, listen.
Sit down and negotiate.
And they showed fucking images from the January 6th insurrection.
Oh my god.
And it's not much. But man, Fox News was pissed off and I was here for it. And they put up the most Fox News headline of all time of Star Trek has gone where it's never gone before. Woke politics.
Have you seen Star Trek?
Clearly
the whole
not.
time? They're
It's-
talking about this like socialist utopian future where everybody works for the greater good and all things are provided for. Like, what about like raging capitalism? Did like I don't what?
It's in the same way that Ted Cruz is a big Star Trek fan, but only of the original series because Kirk was macho.
Yeah, my racist grandfather too. He'd sit there and watch it, and then like the next second be like, "Those damn communists!" And it's like, Grandpa, are you serious right now?
No, it's real good. The actor who plays Spock is my second favorite Spock actor. Like, Zach Quinto in the new movies does a really good job. I don't want to insult him. And this guy's not Leonard Nimoy because that's just fucking unfair.
Who could be?
Yeah, except Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah,
Only
well, yeah,
Leonard
yeah,
Nimoy.
so it's- yeah.
So it's, he's going up against an impossible standard, but he's been knocking everything he's been doing out of the park.
Nice.
In the same way that there's a character playing Uhura as a cadet, and I just feel for that woman forever. She's doing a great job, but she has to play the character that Martin Luther King was a personal fan of because she was so good for representation. Talk about the fucking pressure.
Yeah, it's fine. You'll be fine, right? No ulcers popping up over that one.
And then just yesterday, I finally started listening to a podcast called Dungeons and Daddies. Not a BDSM podcast.
Oh, damn.
Literally, that's what it is. It's a actual play D&D podcast, so we listen to people play D&D. And the plot line is kind of amazing. And it is it's basically an isekai anime where someone gets sucked into another world. And it is these 4 normal dad stereotypes that accidentally get teleported into the world of Forgotten Realms, where they have to go save their children.
Oh.
And like, one is a like granola crunching Bernie bro hippie dad, and it's a stereotype, but it's also like,
We all know that dad.
yes, we live in Missoula. We've met that
We
dad.
know that dad.
My dad was pretty close to this
Yeah,
dad.
I was just thinking about your dad.
Not quite the same,
Yeah,
but close.
yeah.
Who finds out he's a druid, or there's the like stay-at-home soccer coach dad, like unemployed, but he calls himself stay-at-home dad, who becomes a barbarian, and the things that he uses to activate his rage is the fact that his son never listens to him and his wife's cheating on him.
2 good rage-inducing things, yeah.
Or like the stoner dad that used to like tour as a band that never made it, but like he pretends it's not and smokes pot with his son, who's their bard. If you were going in for the classic D&D crunchiness, this is not the podcast for you. He will let them do some wild stuff because they think it's funny. And it is funny. But like, they'll be in the middle of a major situation and suddenly be like, all right, guys, dad huddle. And like, all gather up together and like figure out, and just, the characters bounce off each other really well. And I keep being like, they can hear you guys. You are like 5 feet away from them. Oh, my favorite is a stepdad.
I was going to say, who's
Who
the
was-
4th one?
He
Keep me
is
in
a
suspense.
stepdad named Ron, who is kind of like Ron Swanson, but not a raging libertarian
Okay.
from like Parks and Rec. So he's
Yeah.
just like, I am a dad now, I guess. And I don't know what to do here. I guess I have to look after Terry Jr. because I married his mom after his dad died. And I'm going to hang out with the other dads. He like thinks a hug is a breed of dog. Like he just has no idea how to emote. It's just, I'm only like 2 episodes in, so I don't know too much about what's happening, but when I am laughing out loud this much in the 2nd episode of a podcast, that's a pretty good sign. Because my rule is usually, and we've all done podcasts, so we know this, give a podcast 3 or 4 episodes to find their footing.
Even in a whole season.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Oh, God, our first season of Word Balloons, I keep asking people to skip it, and they keep not listening to me. And they keep saying nice things, so, like, thank you. Oh, by the way, thank you, coworker Joe, who Apparently listens to all of our shit now.
No shit.
And just came up to me the other day and was like, "This is your fault." I'm like, "What's happening?" It's 6 a.m. It's too early for this guild.
What is my fault?
He's like, "I have now read 30 issues of Immortal Hulk thanks to you." Which Immortal Hulk is fucking fantastic. Good
really
job.
Is. Very truly is.
Malark, what about you? You've been listening, watching, reading?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I'm working, because like right now I'm working my way through Clausewitz. I've got a show of my own, The Art of Wargaming, and it's also on the Earworm Network. And right now we're working our way through Clausewitz, and it is a thick book. We have been working on it for about a year.
You should tell them the title of the book, because Clausewitz is the author.
Sorry, I was a history major, and we always were just kind of like, yes, the Clausewitz. Did you read your Shakespeare? Sorry, it's On War by Clausewitz, and it's a military history manual or a military science manual. Clausewitz, he was writing this at the tail end of the French Revolutionary Wars, Napoleonic Wars, and he was on the losing side. So he got to observe a whole lot of stuff that the most winners wouldn't even include because they're not thinking about it. They won, whereas he was heavily analyzing it. So, I mean, that's what I'm primarily doing is reading that, but I'm also doing a rewatch of MASH because it's nostalgic for me.
And it's so good.
I love MASH so much.
Such a good theme.
Right. Yeah, especially after Alan Alda kind of takes over and starts using a bit more of an overall story arcing. The Great, I don't know if you guys have checked out The Great.
That's the one about Catherine the Great?
Yeah.
I've not seen it, but I've wanted to. It's
Court
got Nicholas Holt in it.
Okay.
My wife and I have just started watching through it, and it's fantastic. It's like, we have a hard time finding shows that we both like, and this is one of those ones that after supper, we're both like, great, the great, yeah, the great, okay. So that one's really good.
That one is loosely based off of history, yeah.
It's occasionally true, is what they say. It's an occasionally
It's kind of like
true
Our Flag
story.
Means Death in that respect.
Oh, okay.
I've just started that one, too.
Oh, we did an
actually.
episode on it. It's so
Nice.
good.
It's so good.
They still haven't announced a second season.
I know.
But as a historian, if you go back and watch The Great, the craziest shit that's happening on there, the stuff you're like, that can't possibly be true.
Is the stuff that's
That's
true.
the stuff that's actually true.
Interesting.
Peter was not a good king, emperor thing.
A lot of the czars weren't. The fact that they ruled for 300 years is pretty impressive with how absolutely insane most of them were.
They used the church as one of their primary things. It was one of those perfect marriages between church and state where they were able to use pure propaganda to control the country for the longest time. It wasn't until reformers like Catherine the Great came along and were like, hey, by the way, you're people, you know that, right? They were like, oh my God, there's other ways to live, but like they were kept this way not only by the government,
people.
but yeah. So there was a whole team going on there.
Nice.
Weirdly, I happen to know that I have a lot of family that ended up in Russia during her reign.
Nice.
As part of the Germans to Russia movement.
Yeah.
And all of that. And my grandma was super into genealogy, so
Your
I've actually
family has
seen
been all over.
I have seen all of that paperwork, and it's kind of crazy interesting. But
Heck yeah.
My uncle went.
she's also passed now, and I don't know who ended up with all of that. So
My grandmother's the same. She did a bunch with the genealogy, and now it's somewhere.
She had fun with it. That's the important part.
Yeah.
My uncle went to Norway, which is our ancestral home, and we have I guess they're cousins. Like if you are very generous with the term cousin, and they're like, well, the good news is we can trace our family back to the 1500s. The bad news is they only kept track of royalty and prisoners back then, and it's not the one that you're hoping it is.
Row raggy.
And he's like, what, they were royalty?
although I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I saw one of the most interesting. This is just a weird tangent, but fuck it, we're on this subject now.
Welcome to General Nerdery. This is what we do.
I saw this weird paper, whatever. My great-great-great-grandpa married in Russia. The church refused to write down the name of his bride. They recorded that he was married, that he got
you
married.
have mentioned this to me
That he
before.
got married in the church, but they refused to write down any of her identifying information because she was Romani.
Racism.
Yeah, then...
It was really weird. Either way, I was just like, oh, this is strange. And I think the only reason they recorded it was because, like, he was a liked person in town.
So, like, how does that even figure? Like, people are looking back through and there's like, hey, there's this guy who married himself, I guess? Like,
He's married.
just to an amorphous object of some... Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
Anyway, that's for my own personal tie to the history of that region. Anyway.
Hey, my personal tie to it is way back in the way when my great-great-grandfather, who was effectively called Zhezha, was stationed in a town, was caught in a barn with a gal. No, there wasn't any, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Brothers didn't care. There was a shotgun involved. There was a marriage that happened. And then they came to America, where they started a long line of very unhappy Slavs. So.
Oh, my.
So I feel you.
I just have the Norse. We all moved here and started making lefse. Kept making lefse. We never stopped.
The only other relative I know of was in the Civil War on the right side.
Ooh,
So I just need to point
I
that
had
out.
both.
Did you?
I had people who definitely were on the wrong side. My granddad, who he's dead and racist or whatever, was like, "Oh, yeah, my daughter, my mom, please stop looking up our history. I don't want to know what we're going to find out." And she's like, "Oh, I know what we're going to find out. We basically owned Missouri at one point."
Oh, no.
Like before. But also, one of his ancestors left Missouri and went to Kansas, I want to say. He went to one of the states that was wavering on what side.
Bleeding Kansas.
And was super important in making sure that they was the leading voice in the anti-slavery movement in the States.
Oh, that's reassuring.
That's cool.
So there was both, because it's old school, when white people started coming to Missouri, my family was there, so I am sincerely sorry to very many people for a lot of stuff that I am not sure what it is.
And I mean, honestly, I think if you look back in history-wise, there were no good guys in the Civil War. There was one less bad guy.
Yeah.
But, both sides were incredibly racist, and both sides were incredibly derogatory toward everybody, and violent and awful. So, I mean, I'd be like, my relative was in the Union side, but probably because he was drafted, let's be honest.
Yeah. Oh my, not my family, but that reminded me of a story. I had a buddy growing up whose grandma was brought in front of their school by Hitler.
Oh.
As an example of a perfect Aryan child.
Oh, wow.
And that's not her fault by any stretch of the imagination.
By the end of the war, she had been knocked up by an American GI.
her.
That was Sean.
Oh, God. Okay, so on that extremely strange note, let's, we only have one trailer to talk about today, and I don't have much to say about it, but we watched the She-Hulk trailer. Which,
now, after having read more She-Hulk in the past week than I ever have before previously...
Admittedly a pretty weird She-Hulk, but...
Which is pointed out in the text. So I knew it wasn't classic She-Hulk that I was getting while reading it either. It made me like the trailer more. I still have no real connection to the character, and I hope they refine the CG a little bit because it's super uneven, and I would rather it be slightly below par but even than the all over the place that it was for me.
I was thinking about this. She-Hulk in the comics is not a problem, but She-Hulk in the show, there's some uncanny valley that kicks in. Because, when Mark Ruffalo becomes the Hulk, it's so disproportioned that you're a little more willing to forgive when something looks a little off. Because most people aren't, 10 feet tall,
Beefcake.
12
foot
feet
across.
wide. Yeah, exactly. That size. She-Hulk is huge, but she has much closer to traditional human proportions, which means any little thing that's off is much more off. It's much more noticeable.
I wasn't running into that so much as some of the CG looked unfinished.
That's fair. It
Some
might
of
also
the-
still be unfinished. I mean, that show
Yeah, and
comes out
that's
in a
the
few
thing.
months.
Trailers sometimes use not the entirely finished product, so it might end up looking better. But also, Infinity War had the same problem. That was my biggest gripe with Infinity War is Thanos looked fucking photoreal almost that entire movie, but
there was a scene or two.
fucking Bruce's head in the Hulkbuster armor literally looked like it was floating in front of a green screen.
Yeah. Okay, so someone who has read some She-Hulk, I tend to prefer She-Hulk over Hulk because the stories on average tend to be better. Just because there's a little more you can do with her, and I think there is something fun about a superhero defense attorney or prosecutor, they don't do a great job about whether she works for the prosecution or the defense. Like, I know most lawyers have a specialization, but Jen do what Jen gonna do. But there is, I mean, this show is showing, it looks like it's borrowing a lot from the Charles Soule run, which I think is the best She-Hulk run ever written, so good plan. There was a run in the 90s by John Byrne that was really popular, maybe 80s, but it was... I don't like John Byrne much in the first place, and parts of it have aged super poorly. Of just reading that in 2021, and you're like, or 2022, and you're like, that's fucking sexist. Like, you know, like anything you read from the 80s. So I give it a little, but the more comedic tone, I think, is a good choice. They tend to do that with She-Hulk, as opposed to the, like, the sad music from the 70s, Bruce Banner playing as he walks along, and
it's that very stereotypical, or what is it? Yeah, classic scene.
I believe the name of that song is "The Lonely Man."
Yeah, you know, I'm a monster. So having a woman who is suddenly like, my whole world has changed, and I feel kind of much more confident because I have, you know, Hulk blood running through me all of a sudden, could be kind of fun. And the thing I'm hoping is we get some real kind of lawyer comedy stuff. Like, I'm sure I saw the Fabulous Frogman or his dad, the villain Leapfrog. I'm not sure which, because they wear the same costume in that. And as the worst Daredevil villain of all time, I'm really excited to see what happens with that. He's worse than Stiltman. And Stiltman's powers is he has stilts.
Oof. I'm excited to see... The trailer seems to set up her having to defend Tim Roth as Abomination. Fuck yes. Give me all the more Tim Roth.
Yeah. I love Tim Roth.
And we saw Abomination again. I mean, we saw him a bit in Shang-Chi. But he actually looks like the Abomination now, and not a weird penis man with spikes like he did in The Incredible Hulk.
Right.
But yes, Tim Roth... Admittedly, every time I think of him, I think of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, which is very different from the Marvel Universe, but...
I too start just flipping a coin whenever I see him, but...
What was that? It was a show we got really into briefly when we were living together.
Lie to Me.
Yeah. Where he plays a guy who
Lie to Me
reads
really
micro expressions, and I think the science is mostly hokum, but it was cool.
Half of it is pseudoscience. Like, a lot of the concepts are pretty good, but like sitting there and being like, oh, I caught a small glimpse out of the corner of your eye that now tells me that your social security number is blood. I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But, like...
but for douchey TV, it is extremely fun.
That one got canceled way too early.
Yeah, and like abruptly too. Like it starts to get to this point, and like that last episode, you're like, okay, cool. I'm really looking for the next season. Blip. What?
Was that one of the AMC shows? Not important.
I don't remember who did it. I don't think I saw it till it was on Netflix. So.
That's where we found it.
Yep.
But yeah, She-Hulk. I mean, it's the problem with the first trailer. We don't want it to tell us too much because we want to be able to sit down and have surprises in the show. But also, kind of hard to talk about.
Yeah.
We're like, She-Hulk's going to get some booty is like the main thing I got from that.
Right.
Which, good for her. And good for him.
Good for both.
I also know that she removed a door. I saw that. So when that happens in the movie, I'll be like, spoils.
Yeah, it's kind of a slow point for trailers, so...
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Whatever. Especially after having to talk about the Avatar trailer last time. I'm still...
Just fucking watch a David Attenborough movie instead. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we will go into... I was going to say Space the Final Frontier, but no, we have to go talk about 40K instead. So as we mentioned before, we've been trying to get Malark on the show forever, and struggling with it, because every time I would talk to you, you'd be like, oh, I don't do much nerd stuff to talk about.
I guess it's so normal in my life that I don't really realize it. And then people are like, how much nerd stuff do you do? And I'm like, I don't really do that much. And they're like, what do you do in a given day? And I'm like, apparently a bunch of nerd shit.
Tell the listeners what you're wearing right now.
Oh! Well, I'm wearing a very nice selection from the spring fashion from Thumbs. You see me modeling some nice new pants.
Oh,
that
I
are
did make you
purple and-
those.
You did.
He's wearing a bunch of Belagarth garb.
Yeah. I got some nice comfy pants on and a big old jacket that makes me look like I'm trying to go for pirate president or something along those lines. So.
And a stolen hood.
No,
Not
no,
stolen.
it's not stolen.
Stole and hood. Stole is a term for
Oh, yeah. See, yeah, no,
Sorry, the Montanan habit of dropping the last
Stolen
part of a word definitely.
No. I was awarded this for,
How
being,
dare you,
for
sir.
being a fantastic bore at the event that I was at. And that's a bore as in like the bore and not like the, person that you don't want to listen to.
God damn it. But, okay. But the one thing that you are definitively nerd at is 40K.
I love 40K.
I mean, to the point that I asked you recently, you're like, I'm doing a bunch of prep work. And I was like, oh, for a podcast? And you're like, nah, man, the new edition came out and I need to study.
Well, yeah, I play Knights right now because my back is shit. And before this, I was playing Gene Stealer Cult.
Okay.
And they're
Explain
really cool.
why your back being shit means.
My back is shit because I was in 2 high-speed rollovers.
No, I mean, why does that matter to 40K?
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. It's like, this, Thumbs.
I knew I was going to open up, but I didn't know I was going to tell them everything.
So for those of you who haven't played, 40K is a tabletop sort of game. You're playing on a table that is 44 by 60 inches in diameter, and so that's fairly large. And you're moving a bunch of pieces around on it and trying to get vision. So you're looking around and you're trying to get at their level to see if you can see around buildings. And of course, you have to move all these models as well. And so when you're having to bend over a table and move a horde army, which is what you'd call something like the Tyranids or the Orcs or any of the other ones that rely on numbers, it takes forever to move these dudes, even if you've got the movement trays. That means you're spending a lot of time making these small motions over a table. If you have a shit back, that sucks. Sucks.
I move these 3 men. Let's do this.
Right. So yeah, now I'm playing Knights, and so for every my opponent will have 100 models, and I will have 14, and they're just big guys that I just pick up. I move them where I want to. I don't have to bend over hardly at all because I'm like I can either see you or I can't. There's no finesse about this. And so, yeah, I play Knights anymore. And so my Codex had just recently dropped, and the local league just started up, and so I wanted to be up on all my rules, so that when I had my very first game, I wasn't sitting there like a derp, being like, well, let me just try to look at my rules thing. I don't know what's happening.
Mm-hmm. So how did you first encounter 40K?
I first encountered it when I was living down in Tennessee, actually, and I had a buddy. I lived near Nashville. Okay, that's where Durdemarian is, for those of you who aren't necessarily familiar with the Belagar speak. And Nashville is a terrifying city to drive in. There's one particular route that you have to go on to get to Elmington Park, which is where Durdemarian met, and it's along a route called the 440. The 440 was designed by a person who was a biochemist who was specialized in hydrodynamics.
Okay.
And so he built it based on the theory of people and cars moving the same way that water does through channels. The problem is, water moves logically. People do not. And so this so-called miracle of a little high, the interstate section, is a death trap. And is absolutely, you got to be right with Jesus if you're going on the 440. So naturally, my ass coming from Montana, and I can handle some deer. But that sort of traffic, and I'm starting to shake and shit. And so I was meeting up with a buddy in Murfreesboro, and we were driving in together. And so he was listening to the 40K audio dramas.
Oh, okay.
And so we sitting there listening to it. I had no idea what was going on at first. None whatsoever. As you're listening to it, you're picking up more and more and more stuff. And the audio dramas are so cool because it's like you're listening to a TV program, but it's there. So they got all the different sound effects in the background, and it was so cool.
Audio plays have stayed big in Britain, and I really am sad that they didn't stick around in America in any real...
Thankfully, the Black Library is a British company, and so you get some really good shit out of there. And so I'm listening to this, and I'm like, this is really cool. And then it kind of went on hold in my life for a little while until I started talking with some folks here who played it. And I was like, I just got into a new job. It's a cushy job. I've got some extra cash floating around. Why not start into a game like this?
Man, you play Belagarth. You know that's a lie.
Yeah, well, I've got the 2 big nerdy things that I do. The 2 big nerdy things that'll keep me from retiring. So... So yeah, that's how I kind of got into a long roundabout way of how I got into 40K.
And this is a dangerous question to ask you. What is your favorite army?
My favorite army. It would depend on your criteria.
Wait, since you actually play, what's your favorite to play versus your favorite just lore-wise?
My favorite to play, of course, at the moment is
let me
Knights.
guess. Let me guess before I can. Okay. Your favorite to play. I'm assuming you're going to go with Knights because that's what you're playing right now.
My spine. Yeah.
And it's the mech people for your favorite. The
Adeptus Mechanicus.
That's the one.
Yeah. As I've just mentioned before, I was in 2 high-speed rollovers, and your body doesn't come away from that with a few aches and awfulness. So the whole concept of being like, let's just hack a piece off and put on a machine bit that works just as fine. Yes.
You
Yes,
have wanted to
please.
be a robot for almost 20 years that I've known you.
It would be awesome. Like, you could do anything and be
Great.
fine.
I'm also all on board the being a robot train, although I'm not an Adeptus Mechanicus.
It is fun to like watch the sci-fi with him. That's like, are you still human if you're a robot? At what point does like should you stay here? You're like, nah, fuck it.
I don't care. Bye-bye humanity and bye-bye pain. We'll be fine. Yeah. So yeah, Adeptus Mechanicus is probably my favorite lore-wise, just because of like the whole concept of the Omnissiah is really cool. They've got this like super space Catholic worshipping machine thing going on, where you have like the machine god, the Omnispia, and the motive force. I mean, come on, like, come on. But like, everything is so mechanical.
It's
Just
crunchy.
beautiful. Yeah, and like they exist separate from the Imperium, which is really cool. Like everybody looks at like the Imperium and like the quote unquote good. There are no good guys in 40k, but like the more human characters in 40k is all being underneath the Imperial banner. The Adeptus Mechanicus is actually their own empire. The Martian
did not
Empire.
know that.
Yeah, they are their own separate thing, and there's a lot of treaties and a lot of bindings that keep them together. I mean, like the Imperial worlds would be fucked without the ability of like generating power and material that the Forge worlds have. But the Forge worlds would be fucked without the protection that the Imperium provides. And so it's a mutually beneficial relationship. But yeah, they're technically 2 separate empires, which is why you have 2 separate types of knights. You know, you've got your Imperialis knights, which fight very different than your Mechanicus knights, because they're sworn to different empires.
Zach, your history with 40k.
Actually, a lot longer than anyone would expect. Because when I was a kid, I don't know, it was at the comic book store, and it was some kind of magazine that was like an advertisement for models. So it had little bits of fluff, and it had pictures of the models. I remember very specifically like Plague Marines. And it had a Warhammer Fantasy and a Warhammer 40k side. Like half and half. And I think that book fell apart in my hands eventually with the amount that I went through it. Because the basic setup of 40k is super fucking cool. As much as I push back against it a lot, I get why people like it. And then, just out of high school, right, early college, I decided I was going to get into it. And I invested like $300 in an orc army. And I didn't enjoy putting together the minis. And I didn't enjoy painting the minis. And, I got fucking stomped after dropping $300, and I went, I don't know if this is for me.
$300.
Yes, I know, but I was 19, and I didn't have a job. Also, you've seen my comic book collection. I only have so much money.
I should not throw shade.
No, I am under the opinion that most hardcore nerds have enough money for 2 big nerd hobbies and then a bunch of others they dabble in. For me, it's comic books and Bellegarth. For you, it's 40k and Bellegarth. For you, it's video games and
Weed.
Nice.
Not gonna lie, I'd have a lot more money.
Well, and I just... it's the thing I've learned about RPGs, like tabletop RPGs. I'm not the crunchiest player. I'm much more freeform. 40k is not that. And I believe in a Star Trek future. The shittier our world gets, the more I support optimism in our fiction, because I do think it's important. That isn't to say that, dark, heavy shit is bad, but I have enough of that because I read the news every day.
Sure.
So I kept being like, that looks cool as hell, and I'd read some comic books here and there. The place where I started to get the reputation as the anti-40k guy was when you brought the fucking game into the realm of Stygia, our local Bellegarth group.
Yeah.
And it became possible to talk about anything else.
You're welcome.
For like 2 years. I still, to this day, love when people come up and be like, can I show you what I painted? I'm like, abso-fucking-lutely you can.
Right. We actually got some great artists in the realm. I am not one of them.
And our buddy Wug, he's been on the show several times. He'll come up and he'll show me, and he's showing me the inside of the vehicle. There it is. You have to go looking for it, and you have to get the little flashlight to see it, and he's painted fucking screen reflection. Like, get the light glare on the screens on stuff. You absolute fucking madman. And I love seeing it because, I mean, we've discussed this. I do cool artsy shit all the time, but I do leather crafting, I do sewing, I do illustration. I am not a fine detail work because I am a lummox.
I love that word.
So I do too. So when it comes time to painting the tiny little brush that is like smaller than a pen, oh god, I hate it so much. But that means that I am impressed when I see it done well. But yeah, I kind of became the anti-40K guy because I heavily disagree with its basic premise in a lot of ways. I agree with some of the earlier premise, which I want to talk about in a minute, and it was the only way to keep practice going. It was to be like, okay guys, we talked about 40K, that's fun, it's been 45 minutes, let's have some wax. And like the 3 people who don't play 40K have been like sitting awkwardly, like waiting.
Why do they keep chanting blood for the blood god?
Join us.
But
I get very passionate about things, and I like to bring people along with me.
oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what this show is about. It's just we had to find a way for me to talk about 40K in a way that I could like contribute and be helpful to
Fair.
it still.
Yeah, very
which is hilarious because I did a fucking war strategy podcast with you for over a year and just kind of carefully listened and didn't talk when the 40K stuff came up. And yeah, my favorite army is the Orcs because they're British football fans and it's hilarious. And they are, in my opinion, the only part of 40K that remembers to keep a sense of humor.
They are the only ones having fun.
Which, yeah, exactly. And the older stuff did that.
Space Wolves.
Space Wolves had fun.
Prior Siege of Fenris.
Okay.
Don't know what that means. Tyler, what about you? What's your... Because I know you're into it to some level, but...
Yeah, so never played the tabletop. I'll get that out of the way first. I have a kind of a short and kind of long history. What got me into it was that with my video gaming history, I've always liked RTSs. So when the Dawn of War games came about...
Yeah.
I had a long Dawn of War. I have them installed on my computer. My computer just sucks, and I don't want to get angry at lag while playing like one of my favorite games.
Got heavy into those, but the reason I got heavy into those was because I was already somewhat familiar with Warhammer Fantasy in a roundabout way, because although I've never played 40K with the miniatures, I realized, and I forgot I was going to bring this up at one point with you anyway, Malark, like, back when we first started talking about possible crossovers that we could do, you once asked if I've done any wargaming. No, but I've come close because I've played Blood Bowl.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The video game Blood Bowl or like actual Blood
I've actually played actual tabletop
I knew
Blood
there was.
Bowl.
I just assumed because...
Way back in the day, to the point where, looking back on it, me and my friend were not playing properly. We were definitely dumbing down the rules. Although, looking back on it, I feel like most of the changes we made are ones that they have made in future editions anyway, because...
They've really tried to streamline things. I mean, it's still a very complicated game where you need to do homework before you can actually play. But, like, this edition of 40K, for instance, is so much easier to learn and so much easier to play than the previous ones. If even just because of terrain rule clarifications, oh my god, there's no more of the debate of, like, no, it does this, no, it does this. No, that's a ruined wall, it has certain keywords, we know. Move on.
There was a thing in the 90s in any kind of gaming, because D&D suffered from this real bad, too. And I mean, like, you and I played a lot of 3.5, and I love 3.5, but... it was crunchy, and there was so much rules debate, and I don't know what it was about gaming in that era, but fucking every game had that. And in the last 20 years has been like, okay, guys, we have to simplify this. We need to stay, like, true and have fun to what we are, but, like, we have to simplify.
Yeah, so I want to say I played Blood Bowl back in the 2nd edition.
Okay.
And then have since started playing now that they actually have a video game version, which is fucking amazingly streamlined. Like, it's all of the rules except all the rolling's done behind the scenes.
The only thing I don't like about it is that there's like you have to do multiplayer.
Oh, yeah.
There's like you can do like the little training things or whatever, but there's no like ongoing.
You can set up. You can set up if you just set up a league, then it populates it with AI teams.
Oh, see.
So you can set up your own league and then just continue playing it.
Well, see, it's worth it for you to come on our podcast today.
Absolutely.
You're learning things.
Yeah, because I got that and like played it a few times. Like, this is awesome, and then I was like, wait a minute, I have to go online.
I permanently have a game on Quick Resume on my Xbox, just so that anytime like I don't feel like any other game, I can pop onto Blood Bowl.
Oh fuck yeah!
And Blood Bowl is basically 40k rugby. Yes, in extremely simplified form.
It's
you could kill
extremely
people with rugby.
simplified football to the point where it feels more like rugby.
Okay.
Yeah, and
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be closer to football though.
Like American football?
Yes.
a little bit. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I guess I had just assumed rugby because
But it's turn-based.
Britain.
It's turn-based football, which is a weird concept to get your head around and makes the order in which you do things very, very, very important.
Oh yeah. What's your favorite team, by the way?
Oh, Chaos.
Oh right.
Once they introduced Chaos, I go bashy. And so before they introduced Chaos, I was undead because they were bashiest at that point.
Sure.
Like,
does Chaos count as your favorite 40k group too, or?
well, I mean, well, yes, but Chaos Undivided, like I'm a huge Night Lords fan.
Nice.
Huge Night Lords fan. So, yeah, the games got me into it. Then I started reading more, and legitimately one of my favorite pastimes to do is to just, I've probably read 90% of the pages on 1D4chan related to 40k, which, I mean, that's a wiki I've read 90% of the 40k pages of.
I don't know if it's the same wiki because there's a couple of 40k Wikipedias. I think it's the one I was reading is just the 40k wiki, but I have put in a lot of time, mostly because you would say a name and I'd be like, quick Google, see if I know what's happening here.
That guy, no, not the Hebrew demon. The other dude.
No, it's not the so 1D4chan I think was technically shut down, but it's hosted now in like countries that don't give a shit. Because it's the one that legit is done way more by the fandom with a lot more like in jokes and explains the in jokes, and
Okay.
it's a lot of fun because like it'll be reading an entire wiki article that is constantly referring to Marnius Calgar as Big Daddy Mac, Papa Smurf.
Yeah, that's definitely not the one I read.
No, and there's a wealth of lore out there. It's one of my favorite things about it. I actually started reading the books before I started playing the game. As part of the reason I started playing the game is because I was reading the books and was like, I have to do this. But then, like the Horus Heresy, I've been reading that exclusively as my fiction for several years now. As I've just been working, and for a reference, there's like 60 books in the Horus Heresy, so it's a big one. And I've been trying to pace myself, which is why it's taken me so long, because if I were to read as fast as I want to with these things, it's a very expensive reading habit. So I have to, I pace myself. But it's such a good series. Like I read Clausewitz, I read my military science, I read the whatever history bit I'm doing for that military science, and then I read 40K.
Right.
Well, and you and I did I don't remember if it was a one or a two-parter episode on when I was on World of Wargaming still, of the Infantryman's Handbook.
Yeah, oh, so good.
Which we've talked before about my love of like in-universe guidebooks. So like, this is the book, the guide you the path of being a Jedi Knight.
That's such a good book too.
Or yeah, that one's great too. Or like, here's the technical manual of an X-wing. That one, I like it. It didn't get me as much because I'm not a mechanic, but like it was cool. I love the idea that these exists. That fucking Infantryman's Handbook was the crunchiest shit I have ever read in my life.
I was in the military. It was like a field manual.
And it's thick and tiny print.
Yes. Tiny yes. Diagrams and yeah.
Like, I mean, whatever my relationship with 40K, I have never been so impressed with like the amount of just commitment they have.
There's so much. There's just so much.
Well, and a lot of it is by I don't think together, but Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning,
Saint Abnett.
Yeah, those are both very big names in it for sure.
who created the modern version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, to put that into perspective, like the team with Rocket and Groot and yada yada. So I mean, it is like sci-fi comic book, not royalty, but like veterans.
Oh, Abnett is a extremely heralded name within the 40K lore.
Within
community.
40K, he might be royalty. Within comics, he is a extremely respected professional, as like one of the greats of his, but not like he's the genius of his generation. Like, this guy's fucking great.
Well, there's so many different contributing authors, but it's very like Games Workshop has very strict guidelines on like what is lore and what isn't. So like there's a very consistent universe going on, but there's so
Generally?
many, yes, generally, but there's so many different contributing authors that it really gives there's a richness to the story rather than just like one or two people contributing. Like Andy, there's one of the guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he writes a lot of the chaos stuff, and he does amazingly with it. Andrew Dembski Bowden.
Aaron Dembski Bowden.
Aaron, yeah.
Who also did the Night Lords trilogy. Which I was going to say, I haven't started the Horus Heresy yet. I've read the Night Lords trilogy 10 times.
Word. Horus Heresy's worth it. You will not run out of material anytime soon.
It's generally a pretty good idea that you see. The Star Wars books do this a lot too. Of you get a couple of writers for like, this era, and this is your Jedi guy, and this is your fighter pilot guy, or I guess in this case, this is your Ultramarines guy, and this is your Chaos guy,
and to make sure we differentiate, the reason we were saying Horus Heresy is that 40K, of course, is in the 41st millennium. Horus Heresy takes place in the 31st, the 31st millennium, and that's when this massive civil war splits the Imperium, and that's where you get the Chaos Marines and everything coming from. But that's like the prequel stuff. That's what helps explain why 40K is the way the 40K
it's
is.
episode 1 through 3 of Star Wars.
Just episodes 1 through 60 instead.
Yeah. Okay, so
Why are the Primarchs as fucked up as they are?
we'll dive into.
Daddy didn't love me.
No, Dad didn't love anyone. We'll dive into a real quick thing of the Imperium in a sec, but first, I just want to see if I can get this right. There have been, 5 games from Games Workshop, all to various levels connected, because there's Warhammer 40K, there is the Kill Team, which is like 40K but a single squad, which you have almost tricked me into playing a couple of times.
Well, it's less models, though.
Yes, and there's no intro price to Bellegarth, Malark, but how's that worked out for my truck full of stuff? There is Blood Bowl, there is, what was the space one? The giant ship ones.
Space Hulk?
No, Battlefleet Gothic?
Battlefleet Gothic. Oh, don't talk to me about Battlefleet.
Which is out, it is decommissioned, but it's...
I want it so bad.
Yeah. And I want to say there was a Planes version too, but I've never played it. Aeronautica. And then there is Warhammer Fantasy.
Is that Age of Sigmar now?
Yes. Yeah. They retired Fantasy and put in Age of Sigmar, which is basically... the
same thing.
Yes, it's the same thing, but we got to streamline some rules, and we got to differentiate a little bit, because everything was very... Fantasy existed in a weird spot, because it wasn't part of the 40K universe, but it used so much of the lore.
And they use some of the same characters, like a lot of the demons, like you can play, if you buy... Part of the reason I bought demons for 40K was so that I could play Sigmar if I wanted to. Just have an army already because I had it, but there's
Your
no
Nurgles
real,
are Nurgle,
right? But there's no real crossover between the universes, so it's a little weird, yeah.
So we're mostly going to talk about the Imperium today, because both of the books we read were about the Imperium.
Fucking Ultra Smurfs.
Before we dive into stuff,
People razz on them, but I actually think they're pretty cool.
I actually kind of like them too. But no, you're fine. Before we dive into stuff, I want to tackle the elephant in the room really quickly. Yeah, a lot of fascists have been trying to co-opt the Imperium and not recognizing...
Co-op shit, the Imperium is fascist.
Yes, but, okay.
That is not good. I don't mean that in a
100%.
Positive way. That's not positive.
But...
There's no good guys in 40K.
No.
But they have not been taking that lesson and have been like, see, that's what we should have, which, fuck, what's wrong with you? But, fuck those guys.
Yes.
Just anytime there is a group a nerd thing that we do where fucking fascist neckbeards are trying to kind of muscle in. I kind of like to start with the like, let's get this right out of the way. If you're one of those people, get the fuck away from my podcast. I do think the biggest mistake 40K made, and I understand why it happened. It wasn't on purpose. But the fact that we get more and more, 60 fucking books about the humans kind of turns the Imperium into the quote-unquote good guys.
At the very least, protagonists.
The protagonist is a better term. And it's easy to turn the protagonist into the good guys, but when your protagonists are horrifying, that is risky.
Well, I was going to say, not only... That also just gets into my hipstery why I don't like the fucking Ultra Smurfs, because they're the poster boys of the protagonists.
We're the good guy.
Well, they try to be. That's the thing. Like, they are as a section of the Imperium who actually, like, them and the Salamanders. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure, like, the only people in the Imperium, they're like, you know what? Let's not go out of our way to be shitty to people. Yeah, that's pretty good.
There was a moment of that in Marnius Calgar that I was thinking of. One of the books we read for this. I just wanted to get that out of the way because it's important to call out stuff.
No, anybody who says that they want to be anybody in 40K has not obviously read anything in 40K. And
you should never want to be anything in that universe.
No. Nobody's having a good time. Like we talked about the orcs.
Nothing is having a good time.
Yeah. So let's do an extremely truncated overview of what the Imperium is before we dive into... The Imperium is the space... I said extremely truncated. I know.
It's
makes Palpatine look kind of loving. That's a good... Ooh.
It's Leto's piece
from Dune. It is. I have conquered the galaxy, or am conquering the galaxy and bringing about good things, but it's fucking terrible for everybody.
The original concept wasn't terrible. Like, when the Emperor was first conquering the galaxy, during the Great Crusade, as the name implies, it was not a grand time. But the Imperium was still very full of hope. Like, everybody still believed in something. There was this whole secular reality that was being promoted, and it was going off really well. Like, the Emperor wanted to create, his whole idea was to create a perfect world for humanity. And it went terribly awry, it went all the wrong directions.
So bad.
But that was his intent. That's what he wanted out of it, even though he was going about it in a very fucking
fascist, colonialist
way.
Yeah. I'm not going to harp on that too much, but we can't avoid the fact that we're talking about a fascist dictatorship that makes Star Wars' empire look cuddly.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, not the same podcast, you might not have heard it, but we mentioned it over on fucking Word Balloons when we were talking about the orcs over there. You compare, straight acrosses from any other sci-fi universe, 40K is going to win. Because it's intentionally... It's whenever they can, they dial it past 11.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
There's one orc on that planet. We should blow up the planet.
They're fungus.
I'm not saying they're wrong, I just also it's horrific.
The amount of times an exterminatus gets called... just daily, because it's a daily occurrence.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and sometimes it's something that happens when the Tyranids are first coming in and Critman finds out about them. He's like, okay, so these things need to eat planets to stay alive. Fair enough. I'm just going to kill every planet in their path and hope to starve them a bit. So he does all these Imperial worlds and just burns them because they're in the wrong location.
That's going to include hive worlds, which by definition is between 100 and 500 billion people.
Billions upon billions upon billions.
In one of the comics we read, they had a little mini page where they were talking about a planet, and they said that, this world's doing really good. The average age of life made it up to 30.
Being a Night Lords fan, their Primarch, Conrad Kurz, landed on Nostromo, a hive world whose population was kept in check by the suicide rate.
Which there's no light. There's no light there, not ever.
Oh, great. Okay.
No light. Everybody is a serf being worked to death for the adamantium in the crust. And it is completely corrupt and ruled by mobsters and gangs across the entire thing. And the Primarch becoming Batman/Vlad the Impaler was considered to be the best thing that ever happened to the planet.
Well, yeah, because, he ruled through terror. That was his whole philosophy, was if you kill people brutally enough and in a specific enough way for specific enough reasons, you will deter those actions. Because it worked on his planet. It worked,
yeah.
Y'all commit crime, I will come into your house, flay you and your families, and display your bare corpses for the world to see. Yeah, I'll do it. It's fine.
There were
great.
literally body parts clogging the gutters. Anyway.
That tracks.
So everybody decided to behave themselves.
Okay. I am going to attempt to do an extremely truncated version of what the Empire, the whatever, is. You guys correct me where I make my inevitable mistakes.
All right.
The Emperor of Mankind, who has been alive for however fucking long, ever, but thousands of years old even at the beginning, extremely powerful psychic. Yes?
Like the most powerful psyker.
Okay, because psychics exist and they connect to the warp, which is
Psyker.
the psyker? Okay. He decides to create this great empire of, secular humanism, but through fascism.
Secular fascism.
Secular fascism. And one of the first things he does is, I don't know if it's one of the first things, but important for the lore, first things he does is creates the Primarchs. I am skipping like 1,000 years of history. Roll with me
you're
here.
skipping a lot of history.
I said truncated.
I mean, really, for where the story picks up, I'll agree. The next big thing's the Primarchs. Like, the chapters existed before the Primarchs, but
Okay, I know, but this is physically hurting me. I just got to very, very, very abridged real quick. So he creates the Imperium. They have to go to Mars and create that alliance because otherwise he wouldn't be able to take the world. They start going out and reconquering the worlds that were lost to the Long Night, which is the period of time after humanity had its original expansion into space, but then fell to warp storms and to technological issues and fights with the cyborgs and whatever. So he goes forth, reconquering that territory, at which points the Space Marine Legions are eventually created, from which the Primarchs
Thank you. Cool. The Primarchs are his sons, his genetic sons, because they were fucking grown in a lab.
He did not like them calling him daddy. He did not like that at all. They always did. They were like, father, and he's like, you are not my kid. You are my science project.
Okay. And they were created to be super beings.
To help him rule the universe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all created for a purpose.
Yes.
Also.
Yep.
They create their own chapters, which are the Space Marines. All the Space Marines are genetically modified humans. We will see this in the Marnius Calgar series where you start as just a normal person, and by the end you're like 12 feet tall and 6 hearts and...
Well, the Space Marines are created using the genetic material from the original Primarchs. Like that wasn't like them. They didn't do that on purpose. That's the way that the Emperor made it to occur. And some of them were done separately. So he had the DNA, and so like for the Dark Angels, for instance, the Dark Angels existed. They were the first Legion, the first of the first of the first. But like they didn't have their Primarch for like decades, because he was lost on a planet someplace. He was on Caliban, and so when they discovered him, they were like, "Hey, so these are your sons," and he was like, "Okay,
Sweet.
I've been working with like medieval style technology for my entire lifetime, and hi, Sky Daddy."
But the Space Marine Legions are, they're church knights, but they are like super duper church. They're Space Marines. Space Marines exist across multiple...
These are like
sci-fi,
the
yes.
Space Marines, thanks to all those modifications.
Mm-hmm. Also, there is the...
Until Primaris Marines.
Yeah.
Which are just Space Marines.
Yes.
They're updated.
Yeah, updated. 2.0.
Space Marine squared. Then there is the Imperial Guard, which is the standard army grunts of the Imperium.
That's you and me with a cheap las gun being thrown into the maw of war, Stalingrad style.
Your average person is expected to last like a minute on the battlefield or something like that.
13 hours.
13
actually,
hours?
there's or 15 hours.
I knew there was a novel named that, but
one of the most perfect short stories ever written. If you don't cry, you have no soul.
I've never read it. I've heard a lot of people talk about it being really good. Best advantage, they got big tanks, but for the most part, it's a guy.
With a cheap ass las gun.
The only thing
Drown them in our blood.
The only thing that freaks me out is when I see, because I do follow a couple of 40K cosplay pages, because you see some cool ass shit in that. But anytime someone's like, I'm going to do a Blitz something or another of Krieg cosplay, and I'm like, you're just going to dress up like a Nazi. You realize that, right? Like, but there's like Vietnam Rambo style folks. There's
The Catechins.
British Redcoat Army colonialism people. I've seen it. I don't know what it's called. There's
Not the Vostroyans.
World War II Soviets. There's all sorts of stuff. Then there is the people from the other book that we read for this. I don't know where the Sisters of Battle fit into this, other than they are space nuns.
Huh?
No, go for it. You're going to give a better explanation than me by far.
So, ironically, because like during his lifetime, or while he was still not on the Golden Throne, the Emperor, there was this like cult that had developed thinking that the Emperor was a god. He hated it. He did not want it to exist, but he also knew that it was kind of an inevitable sort of thing. But it was kept very much on the underground.
So I was not going to explain it like this, and I love that you're going into this story.
But of course, after he dies, of course, it becomes like the major movement. But here's a little bit of another thing. Lorgar, his son that was like super priesty, was punished because he like Monarchia was this perfect planet that he made as like a shrine to the Emperor. And so the Emperor had it destroyed because he's like, motherfucker, get it through your head, I'm not a god. But he'd written this book that was basically the Bible for the Emperor. And this book becomes the book that is used by the ecclesiarchy. But it's written by a demon primarch. Like that's the part that's funny to me, is because this dude went demon, but it's still like the book of the Imperium.
But the Imperium's got heavy Catholic.
Yes, and that comes at this point. And so, like, I mean, yeah, flying buttresses, the like Gothic windows, all the whole works. And so that progresses forward. The ecclesiarchy becomes extremely powerful to such a point that it starts to destabilize the Imperium as a whole. And the bodyguards of the dude who is like destabilizing it, they begin to realize, and they're also just kind of told that he's losing it. He's like threatening the Imperium itself, and he's got to go. And so they kill him and then deviate. And at that point, the High Lords of Terra are like, all right, the ecclesiarchy will have no men at arms. They're not allowed to have any men at arms. And so they're like, all right, we're going to have our warrior nuns instead. But they're kind of like separate at the same time because of this whole incident. And they have this like very fierce anti-treachery, anti-heresy like stint in them. And so that's where they come from. They're not superhuman in the same way that like a space marine is, but they're driven by faith, by zeal, and by incredible training and some of the best equipment that the galaxy.
And I was going to say, they have some form of power armor, which most don't. Like, the Imperial Guard don't have power armor.
They have flak armor, which, you know...
And although technically not, they are effectively the Chambers militant for the Ordo Hereticus.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Out of game, they kind of exist because of sexism in some ways. Like, there's an army of girls. And for a long time, it was written into the lore that there were no women Space Marines.
That's still in the lore.
Is it?
There's still no women Space Marines.
I thought they changed that.
Nope.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No, still. Sisters of Battle is what you get instead of
I mean,
Space
I'm going to
Marines.
have some shade thrown at me for this, I'm sure, but like, I don't think it should matter at all because you're catching the kids before puberty and pumping them full of God knows how many chemicals to replace like testosterone or estrogen, and at that point, like their genitalia becomes irrelevant because that's not what they're being designed to do. So I don't think it would fucking matter. Like,
I don't think you're going to get shade from this podcast about we should let women be Space Marines.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think it would matter. Like, I just don't think it would even be. There wouldn't even be a difference just because of, I don't know. Yeah.
And some of the early Sisters of Battle models were not.
Oh, blue
great.
armor for sure.
The modern look, I didn't like the Sisters of Battle book we read that much. I thought that everything looked fucking cool in it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, everything looked cool. I thought it was by far the weakest thing we read.
If you want, just as an aside, if you want good Sisters of Battle books, a lot of them at the moment are like the new like horror genre that Games Workshop has been going in, or Black's Library has been going in, and like the Sisters of Battle are really good for like these slow, drawn out like demon possession things or like Xenos infections because that's where they're present, that's where they're at. And so like there's some very good books out there at the moment. I read one recently, I can't remember what it was called, but it was one of my favorite books I've read out of 40K.
It was cool, though, that it was Canoness Viridian, since she was one of the more OG Sisters of Battle.
And then for the final bit, I mean, there's a billion things in the Imperium, and I just found out the Adeptus Mechanicus is not part of it, but, you know, whatever, is the Inquisitorius.
Yes. Or just the Inquisition.
Inquisition.
Yep.
Which is...
They all fucking suck, but the Inquisition is some of my favorite stories.
It's just Solomon Kane, but in space.
That's why I love it. Oh my god, fucking Eisenhorn and the Ravenor books are
very good.
I mean,
amazing.
down to the hat, like the Solomon Kane. Solomon Kane is a character created by
Robert E.
Howard, who created the Conan stories.
Okay.
And he's a witch hunter, demon hunter, whatever. I mean, it's the same
Puritan
thing.
witch hunter.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Very much modeled after like the asshole witch hunters.
Yeah, like the
Like
ones
the
who
real-
penned the Malleus Maleficarum.
Yeah.
The Witchfinder General dude whose name I'm blanking
I know,
right now, but
I'm fucking blanking on it too.
oh.
I keep wanting to say Matthias Thulman, but that's from
See, I know it's
Warhammer Fantasy.
Matthew or Matthias something.
Matthews. You know what? Just give me a second here.
Yeah, the Inquisition's interesting because they hunt a lot of different. They hunt either they hunt Xenos, they hunt heretics, they hunt. There's a difference between heretics and like demon activity because like a heretic could be anybody. It could be somebody who's
Matthew Hopkins.
Matthew Hopkins.
Sorry,
yeah.
go on with your thing. That was just going to bother me.
Yeah, I mean, again, they can do a lot. They can be going after people who are starting revolutions, or talking smack about the emperor, or trying to do something that is against the church, or they could be going against like chaos cults or demon infestations, Xenos infestations. Like they're just well equipped to do all this different stuff, and they're kind of given free reign.
Well, and I was going to say, like, they specialize, but thanks to those books, one of the most famous Ordo Xenos inquisitors, Gregor Eisenhorn, in those books hardly ever interacts with Xenos. It's almost all him demon hunting because that's what he's close to. And he's like, this is also heresy, so I'm going to fucking deal with this.
Right.
Until he starts to do some heretical things.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, though, what we read for this was what gave us our in to do this because it gave me something I understand. Marvel got the rights to do 40K comics, and they've only done 2 so far. I don't know if they're going to keep doing them. The 40K license jumps around a lot. I can think of 4 companies it's belonged to just in the last, 15 years. First one we read was Marnius Calgar by Kieran Gillen, and I am trying to find something Burroughs. Jason Burroughs, who was the artist on this, with a lot of James Stokoe covers, which was probably my favorite part of this because James Stokoe was a wild man. This one was by far the strongest. It doesn't surprise me. Kieran Gillen is one of my favorite comic book writers, and he's an old school 40K fan because he's a British comic book writer, and those just kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
My bias against the Ultra Smurfs aside, Marnius Calgar is one of the cooler ones. This comic made him even cooler by finding out that he is not actually Marnius Calgar.
Yeah. I had never heard of this person before, so this was...
Papa Smurf!
And so until, what's his name? Gooey something. Gilliman?
Yeah, Gillen.
Gilliman takes back over. He's the head of the 40 of the Ultramarines. Yes.
And now Lord Regent of the Imperium.
Gilliman or Calgar? Okay,
Gilliman, yeah.
but Calgar is still in charge of the Ultramarines.
Yeah, he's like the chapter master.
Yeah.
Okay. Grand Poobah. Great. Got it.
At least until Gilman fucking meets the guy from the Space Marine game, since he's like the coolest Ultramarine ever. But anyway, I can't remember his name. Sorry, I did not like the fluff that Matt Ward introduced with these guys back in the day.
Yeah.
Where, like...
They're the good people.
Oh no, it was way beyond that.
Oh, okay.
So Matt Ward, controversial figure, gets more hate than he should, but definitely fucked up on some things. Gets way more hate than he should, and it's partially because of the printing practices that Games Workshop had back in the day, where they would put only the head writer's name on the book. So no matter whose mistakes are in that book,
It goes to Matt Ward or to...
they changed it because of the death threats that he was getting.
Oh, Lord.
Stop sending death threats to authors or creators, you fucks!
Just stop reading it.
But
It's not hard.
But he was also an Ultramarine fanboy that got promoted to the point where he was writing both official crunch and fluff.
So the Ultramarines got... That's why they are the Space Marines you see generally.
And, like, it was in the point where he had interviews in, like, White Dwarf and stuff, where he's like, oh no, like, Ultramarines are the best because they are the ones that follow the Codex Astartes the best, and everyone else wants to be them, and it's only a few other aberrant chapters that don't because they're fuck-ups, and if only they could realize how good the Ultramarines actually are. And instead of what they were before, which was just the vanilla army, they were jack of all trades.
Yeah.
This is the danger of getting to be in charge of the thing you're a huge fan of. It's why, as much as, like, the fans are now writing the, movie, comic, whatever. That's great, because you need to like, I think you need to like the characters that you're writing.
Sure.
But you still need to look at it from, like, a creator point of view first and a fan second. And I've seen it happen with so many different things.
Sure.
And crunch-wise, he's the kind of guy that would put a lot of interesting ideas out there that almost always had to be brought back into place because they were broken. Power gamers loved him because of that, which makes things even more toxic because power gamers can be the worst.
Yeah.
So.
That's why I don't play Magic the Gathering.
And I suppose I missed all of that because I only came in more recently when they were far more balanced. Because I don't think I was exposed to much of that. I've been exposed to the reaction of the public against it.
Yeah.
Or we've been like, oh, the Ultramarine, and then I've been the way I looked at them from the books that I was reading, which were some of the older ones, and then of course from the more current lore. I was like, I mean, they are kind of goody two shoes, but I don't understand why they're So as you explain this to me, I'm like, oh, okay, I can understand why this group at one point would have incurred this sort of dislike because, unfortunately, somebody else fucked it up for them.
Because I think I started getting heavy into the lore, I think, right beforehand, so I was introduced and like, cool, they're like Mario in Mario Kart.
Word.
He's an all-rounder. He's perfect for beginners.
Only a psychopath plays him past that, but
and it's like, and they
well balanced,
and they generally
Waluigi
try more than the others. They generally try more than the others. They're fine, but then it became they are the exemplary Space Marine.
Right.
In this book, it was interesting because I was like, well, shouldn't they, like, by the rules of the Imperium, just shoot new Marnius Calgar, who is, so in the book, Marnius Calgar is taken to the moon to be trained to be a Space Marine, and it turns out there's a chaos cult going on, and he calls in the Space Marines to come help, yada, 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 and they come in and kill all the chaos people, because that's what Space Marines do. Mm-hmm. I expected, though, like, I knew he wasn't because he was the main character, but I kept being like, by the rules of the Imperium, shouldn't you shoot the kid, too? Because he's been tainted by chaos?
They did have that Inquisitor check on him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Grey Knights that saved him.
Right.
Because they
100% would not even have thought about it. They wouldn't have talked to him.
Probably just exterminate the planet, too. Just be safe.
Let's blow up a moon. I'm sure it'll be fine.
No, there's a lot of situations where he would have died, but it passed, I think. It's still a reasonable outcome. It's not too far past lore.
It does say a lot, though, that I was like, you didn't murder the child. You really are the good guys.
But and again, like the Salamanders and the Ultramarines, they are the ones who seem to try. They actually at least want to give it an effort. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes it's it needs must, or you seen too much, or whatever the case may be, and then they do what needs to be done. But
I mean, even in this, they automatically were a giant douchebag to the child. After, we didn't kill you, but we're going to judge you because you're on your knees for 4 seconds after killing everyone you've ever known.
Well, their humanity is kind of built out of them at that point. Like, they're still technically human, but there's a reason that they're, also very different. Mm-hmm. And they have a hard time dealing with
and that's
emotions.
really arguable at this point, too. Yeah. Once you think about all the things fucking Space Marines go through, it's like, how human?
I don't know how...
But I agree, still human.
I don't know how much it does it in the novels. I wish the lighter fluff, for people like me who don't, haven't read 40 of the 60 Horus Heresy books, saw more of that debate of are they human? Because from where I'm sitting, the Imperium is portrayed as the good guys. Not the protagonists, but the good guys. Mm. I mean, also protagonists, but you see the difference of what I'm making.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is where the shitty fascists are seeing that level, and not reading the deeper stuff, and not seeing that, this is a, blazing indictment in several cases of the thing, and they're just being like, fascism is good. It's kind of like you and I read Machiavelli for Art of War.
Yep.
And Art of War Gaming. And we didn't read The Prince, but we talked about The Prince a lot because if you're going to talk about Machiavelli, you're going to talk about the prince.
Yeah.
And you and I still argue, for fun, but argue about whether the prince is supposed to be satire or not.
Right.
And there's kind of the question of, is it satire if you cannot tell?
Or if it wasn't taken as intended was the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also based on translation. One of the things I was reading recently is that a lot of this, like one of the more famous quotes was actually a question in the original rather than a statement. I think it is better to be feared than loved. But
It is better to be feared than or loved?
Is it better to be feared than
Oh,
loved?
yeah, you swap those two and you get a very...
Right. And so there was, again, a lot lost in translation and a lot lost in just like... But, you know, Nietzsche was the same way. Nietzsche would have been horrified that the Nazis were so pro his everything. Because, no, like, if you've read his stuff, there was no element of that sort of bullshit in it. In fact, he was directly critical of the society for being that way to begin with. And so it's just asinine to think that way. And I believe, you know, probably Machiavelli would have thought the same too. Looking forward, being like, wait a second, my works inspired a generation of jackasses. No, that wasn't. Oh, I didn't want that.
I think it's one of the things that Marnius Calgar, the book we just read though, did pretty well of, I found Calgar compelling as hell. Every time they like swapped away from his childhood story, I was like, no, go back. Like, cool, yeah, okay, you've got the big rocket launcher machine gun. Don't care. Show me the kid like fighting to stay alive on the moon, yada yada.
It was very interesting backstory.
And even when you see the bits of humanity, I wanted to know more about Calgar. I liked Calgar, but also every time he was talking about stuff, I was like, oh no, that's not good. Like,
I thought it was also just one of the better, like, intros to what is a space marine that I've ever ran into. Like, I love that they broke down all the different implants that they get.
Right.
All fucking 19?
I think they said 19.
Yeah. I think by the time Primaris rolled about, right?
Yeah.
Because he's the first Primaris.
Well, the first dude who crossed the Rubicon Primaris, which is to say converted from being a full Space Marine to a Primaris after their creation. Because normally as they're being created, they're immediately like they progress into that. But like once a person has been a Space Marine for a while, transitioning into a Primaris after that is exceptionally painful and most likely lethal.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, if I needed to introduce someone to what 40K was, especially the Imperium kind of distilled, not that I would ever be the person you would ask for this. This is the book I think I would like hand them. You got an hour to kill, you'll understand enough to like dip
It's
your
a
toe
good
into the
first
lore.
step.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of some of the things you definitely need to know and why people fear and love Space Marines. Because also, if they show up on your side, yippee, as long as I'm nowhere close to them.
Right.
And the writer was like a big enough, fan and like deep enough in that they're talking about all sorts of little things that I didn't really understand, but I never felt like I was talked down to for not understanding like obscure crunchy bits.
Yeah.
While on the other hand, the Sisters of Battle book, and there were things I liked about it, I found it extremely unfriendly to someone stepping into 40K.
It could have been done a lot better for that. There was a lot of implied information for sure. Yeah, but I absolutely agree with
Well, and like, okay, so, and as I said, they did, the art I thought was extremely good in that book. But like, Marnius Calgar has a name. The two different Marnius Calgars, they both have personalities. The various characters stuck out to me, even if I only remember like one or two of the names, and I could tell you different things about them. I can't do that with the Sisters of Battle book. There was the one girl that was a novitiate who came from the planet.
I was about to say, and that didn't end up mattering for the most part.
Right.
And then there was a bunch of other Sisters of Battle, one of whom was horny for the other, but I could never remember like what, and not horny, but like, I will die to protect this woman. Whoops, she died.
I was going to say,
Super sexually repressed horny.
Yes.
It's the Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
No, you're right. They were kind of just nuns with guns.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was space nuns with guns. That was cool.
And I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but like,
There's a deeper story to be told there too. And I think it does take a lot more effort to try to go into that and make it more than just a more surface level thing, I guess, because there was a depth to the one for Marnius Calgar, right? There was a richness to that story that I just didn't feel like we got, and it wasn't because the sisters are less intriguing by nature. I just think it was more of a...
Well, and I think part of it was trying to tell a different story. This is, I mean, Marnius has his, like, ongoing... There's a chaos cult arising on his home planet or something that. And it's cool, but it's not the point. It is just the, like, colorful backdrop to what is happening.
Sure.
There's the chaos cult. Sorry, this is just getting into, like, the details of the story. Because the way they both end, I'm wondering what this Marvel... 40K stories are building to, because the relics from each story end up in the vault of the same Inquisitor.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
And they're all being like, they're making a point of like they're ending up in this vault at the end of the story.
So they could have kind of an Infinity Stones thing going down here.
Dude, and look, I mean, it's unfortunate how often this is used. Inquisitors turn all the fucking time in these stories.
All the time. They go
all
at
the
it.
time.
Yeah.
Like, that is the go-to, like, the twist is the Inquisitor was working with demons the entire time.
The first couple of times it happens, you're like, no! And then by time 50, you're like, oh, okay, I saw that.
Yeah. The Inquisitor was a dick? Yeah, he's working with demons. He's not a dick? Probably still going to end up working with demons?
Or at least exterminating an entire planet for reasons.
So, still a dick. I do think it might be the... I don't want to say a redeeming factor, but, like, okay, usually when there's something like the Inquisition, I mean, Inquisitions are not good.
No.
Just as a general rule of history, they bad. So having the Inquisition be, like, the good thing going on here, you know, people turning from the Inquisition are the ones that have, like, they've turned evil. It's really disconcerting to me, and I think the kind of only redeeming factor of that is in this world, it really is bad to touch chaos. This is like satanic panic from the 80s, but
with a reason.
Yeah, quote unquote real.
If it had been a legitimate panic.
Yes.
Or with the Xenos, like I was throwing shade earlier at Cryptman for burning planets in front of the Tyranids to slow them down so they could formulate a response. That was the option.
Yeah.
He chose the option. It was a shitty option, but it was the only way to slow the Tyranids down. So, like, yeah, they're horrible people, but they have to be ? To fight the horrors that they are fighting.
Well, I mean,
because we haven't even talked about like
chaos.
This is hard for the Space Marines to get shit done because all of the other fucking crazy ass factions in this universe,
and there's so few. Like, because of the proliferation of Space Marine stories, it's almost assumed that they're just, like, this prolific amount of them just throughout the galaxy.
But there's only a few thousand Space Marines for each chapter, and there's only, like, 40 chapters.
Well, there's a shit ton of chapters, but you're not talking many more than, like, I think somebody had calculated out as being, like, maybe a few million or something along those lines in total.
Hive World has more people than the entire Space Marine army.
Now,
by
lots.
They often say that all it takes is like a couple Space Marines to like take over a planet. So they are very effective at what they do, but there's so few of them compared to just everything else going on in 40K.
Well, and like the reason you can go to an Ultramarine planet and everything looks okay is because they choose to only defend 500 planets.
Right.
So they can keep track of it. Like they're not stretching themselves too thin.
They will occasionally send out forces, especially because there's so fucking many successor chapters of Ultramarines. Like, they will send people off to do shit and help do things in the galaxy, but not to the point of the others that are all, like, wandering around and being like, fuck, there's chaos, we gotta thwart it. Fuck, there's Xenos, we gotta thwart it. They're like, no, we're just gonna keep these 500 planets good. But there's 500,000 more planets.
Right.
It's Daredevil and Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
Daredevil keeps, like, he'll go other places if he needs to, but Daredevil's thing is he takes care of this part of New York. Or, like, Luke Cage and the Bronx.
Gotcha.
And that doesn't mean that he won't go punch Dr. Doom in his fucking helmet if it needs to, or if he owes Luke Cage $200. Go listen to one of our old word balloons, I think, that covers that. But his goal is the small scale, so other people, the Avengers, can go handle the big scale. And there's, like, good sides and downsides of that. Because, like, yeah, you could do more Batman. There's more than just Gotham. But also, Gotham keeps you pretty fucking busy.
I don't know. Anyway.
They have good sides and downsides. Again, they try to do right, but they do right only by a few, and their worlds are very manicured and pleasant to visit and that sort of thing, but it's done also at a heavy social cost, and there's always a drawback. Mm-hmm. And every single one of them has that way. But so the most of the galaxy is just pure terror, and like there's far more Imperial Guard. Like when it comes to the ability of humanity to defend itself, you're looking at primarily Imperial Guard.
But when I think of Imperial Guard, no matter what's going on, I think of D-Day.
Yeah,
When that drops and like
D-Day, Stalingrad, any other place where you just have like people marching into the maw of violence and just being like, if we bury them in bodies, they can't fight. Right?
Yeah.
You can get up there's actually a story, like a hero within the Imperial Guard lore of a general who they were going against this insurmountable cactus castle that had like these like impenetrable walls and that sort of thing. So he literally just kept marching men at the walls until they piled up to a ramp and then drove over. And he was a celebrated general. They were like, "Oh, that was brilliant." So yeah, to be in the Guard is not a good thing. You do not want that.
So he's Grant in the Civil War.
Oh, so much worse.
but dialed up to 20.
Yes.
I don't know. Imperial, as far as like Imperial side goes, I'm a bit of a White Scars man myself.
I was going to ask this: what is your favorite chapter? I assume you are Dark Angels.
God, I just have to be. I have to be.
Because you joined a fucking Belagarth unit named the Dark Angels.
Yeah, I did.
White Scars followed very closely by Blood Angels.
When I was looking into getting into stuff, because it kind of feels like if you're going to play 40k, you will at some point dabble with the Space Marines just because they are the, like, standard.
And there's so many different ways to play them. The Space Marines have like 90 or more data sheets in their codex. For instance, if like you're playing the main codex and then one of the supplements, which you have to, unless you just want to do vanilla, which is don't do that. So as a comparison, my Knight Codex has 10-ish data sheets for everything in there, and most of them are all of them are a variation on 3 different chassis. So like that there's a whole lot to the Space Marines, but that means you can play them a lot of different ways. Like if you want to do a heavy tank line, some Iron Hands, you can go in tank line Iron Hands. If you want to do some biker shit and you want to blast around like the White Scars, go in
Space
like
Mongols.
That. Mm-hmm. If you want to be like the Church Knights of like the goddamn like Catholic
Paladins,
yeah. I mean, like incense on everything. The Dark Angels are like, I'm going to put incense on fucking everything. Where you're going to sit here and chant in like low Gothic style chant, and like you can.
The moment you told me they were the Catholics of the already Space Catholic army, I was like, "Yep, that's the one Malark's going to go for." Yeah.
If you want to be frat boys dressed up as Vikings, you got Space Wolves,
right?
See,
right?
When I
Vikings
was
in space,
when I was younger and like looking into it,
don't do Viking shit. Sorry, that's a.
At first, I was like, "Yeah, the Space Wolves." But the more I read about the Space Wolves, the less I liked them.
They're frat boys.
And there's nothing, like, I get why people like them. I mean, we have a friend with a Space Wolf tattoo. It's Wug. It looks really good. I think I like the White Scars partially just because in the last 10 years I've really fallen in love with the Mongols as, like, an ancient group. And I love motorcycles. And these are motorcycle Mongols. What else do I need?
I also have to say you could come over to the Dark Angel side because Dark Angels are known for their 2 company, like they're in a regular chapter. Speaking of Codex compliant chapters, Guilliman, who's the Primarch of the Ultramarines, he wrote the Codex. And as you deviate from that, you become non-Codex compliant. The Dark Angels are very non-Codex compliant, and one of the big ways this is because their first and second companies are not set up the same way that everybody else's are. Their first company is all Terminators. So these are all just chonky boys marching around, holding objectives like motherfuckers, and I love them. Second company is all motorbikes. Mm-hmm. And they're called, like, the bosses there are the Black Knights. They're rolling around, and they look very much like the medieval kind of knight thing going on, and it's very strong as well. The Raven Wing is what they're called, and the Raven Wing is very strong.
Whenever I take long motorcycle trips, I have this kind of, like, fantasy story that develops in my head that will never go anywhere because there's not actually like a plot to it, but it's basically just like tell a straight up high fantasy, classic fantasy story, but everyone has motorcycles instead of horses. And when you're going across eastern Montana, which is you get on and you go in a straight line for 400 miles, and it's gorgeous and it's great, but like there is a point where you have to keep your brain moving, or you're going to start to drift to the side. Like, yeah. So I, imagine like the battles and stuff, but it's all on motorcycles and jousting and all the things that you should definitely never do on motorcycles. And when I think of that, when I was looking into the White Scar lore, also they use a lot of lightning bolts in their iconography, and
I can't beat that.
In Belagarth, I do a lot of lightning bolt stuff.
Hey, well, if you want to choose a Chaos faction, my Night Lords fucking love lightning bolts.
And so, yeah, that's the other side. So you have the Chaos. So during the Horus Heresy, which is the books that I'm reading right now, that was when Chaos kind of seeped into the Space Marine legions, and half of them fell to the Chaos Gods through the Warmaster Horus, and waged a war on Terra. After decimating a shit ton of the Space Marines in the surprise attack at Isfahan. We won't go into that right now, though. But they also have their own flavors too. There's also a whole lot of flavors there too. And honestly, obviously your favorite night, you're the Night Lords.
Followed closely by 1,000 Suns.
That's the
Thousand
mummy
Suns.
ones.
Yeah, 1,000 Suns are cool.
I know the mummy ones, and I know the Plague Marines, who I think are gross.
That's the Death Guard.
Okay.
Death Guard. I the two that I like the most are on the two opposite ends of giving a fuck about the Chaos Gods. I love the Word Bearers.
Okay.
Because they're just, the way they are is so cool. Everything is just filigree, but chaos filigree on all of their things. They have these intricate tattoos that are just prayers and spells and shit. And they're all just about, they praise all the different gods and draw in boons and stuff. And they are, I hope that the Chaos Space Marine book is coming out soon. And I hope they get some justice, because they've been so fucking weak for so long, but they're so cool in the lore. So I like them, and then I like the Iron Warriors, who are the siege experts, who are just kind of they are so bitter, and they are so angry. They're you have the Imperial Fists, who are we can build it, we can make it stronger. And then you have the Iron Warriors.
Build it? Yes, we can.
You have the Iron Warriors. They're I will tear that shit down. I don't give a fuck. And because Perturbo is this mathematical genius, and yeah, so the two there, Lorgar, Perturbo, Word Bearers, Iron Warriors. I like them both very much.
So this question is almost antithetical to our show, which is a podcast about liking things. But do you have a least favorite Space Marine chapter? Because I know your answer. It's the fucking Ultramarines. But,
look, I partially play that up for fun. Let me think about this.
No, I understand. I also hate things for fun.
I honestly don't. I've honestly thought about this sort of thing, and every time, the unfortunate thing is these authors are so damn good at their job that the second I get done reading a book about the Imperial Guard, I'm you know what? I want to play Imperial Guard. Second I get done reading a book about the Black Templars, I'm I want to play Black Templars. I went into this being Space Wolves. I get done reading a Space Wolf book, and I'm yes, I want to play some Space Wolves. So honestly,
that's because inaccurate Viking shit is really cool. Yeah. Why do you think it keeps winning people over?
In a weird way, Space Wolves are my actual least favorite, but only because I want to like them more than I can ever end up liking them when I start getting into the fluff.
That's pretty accurate to what I was... That explains my feelings.
When you get into the fluff, they don't do Viking shit.
No.
They don't go on raids. And weirdly, until the Siege of Fenris, most authors sort of let them live in their own world, where they weren't even really part of the grim darkness of everything else. They got into just enough shit that they got to add more legends to sing about while fucking drinking mead.
They just sort of hang out in the Fang, though.
We like axes, and we put bear skins on our armor. See, we're Vikings.
And then there was the weird period where everything had wolf in the name.
Yeah.
Oh god. Well, I'm getting so many Belagarth new people flashbacks.
All of the new Primaris. Just as a quick rant about this, all the Primaris stuff is eyes. It's all inceptors, intercessors, and I'm sitting here being incestors. Where do I understand? And so I'm kind of glad that I've been quitting the Space Marine stuff, because I'm I can't remember which I'm supposed to be dealing with here. So the wolf, obnoxious.
Yeah, I want to like them so much, and I just can't whenever I actually get into them. I'm no, fucking, this is so annoying. God damn it. Why, guys?
No, yeah, I wouldn't be able to say that I do. I think that they're all pretty cool. They all have their own merits, their own unique stories that they tell through the different perspectives and everything. Same thing with the Chaos. I mean, I hate all of the Chaos ones by nature. Like, all of them are, like, evil. Like, the Imperium is, like, not good. They're not good guys. But, like, the Chaos Marines are, like, evil. Like, the Word Bearers come to your planet, and everybody getting sacrificed. Like, put on pikes in the most painful way possible. The World Eaters come into your planet, they will just murder everybody wholesale. Men, women, children, no problem. Whatever.
No, yeah, Night Lords were literally the Imperium's terrorists.
And they will do it for fun. They enjoy. Well, all these guys enjoy their work, but like the Night Lords are they're just so that little much
lower
better.
kill counts than most of the other legions, though.
True.
Which was part of Conrad Kurz's point. He's like,
more enjoyment.
why do people heap praise on the Space Wolves when we do the same thing with a tenth of the casualties?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because again, he'd butcher an entire city and make a massive cross out of all the bodies and be like, hey, everybody else should surrender. And they'd be like, yes, you got us. So they had a point.
I mean, historically, does not work in the long term.
No,
but 40K
and it didn't
is
there
like-
either.
Oh, no, it didn't work for...
No, I mean, like the second he left Nostromo, went back to being just as corrupt and just as evil as there was before he left.
The
Which is why
Legion's
they
been
destroyed it.
slowly dying for 10,000 years. That's fine. I like the underdogs.
Yeah. But yeah, they're all very compelling too in terms of just like story and there is of course some sympathy that you can draw, especially from the Horus Heresy stuff before they went evil. And like Perturbo, for instance, like this lost genius, this unpraised genius that was just put out to the he was out in the outer dark, working in the worst conditions with very little support, losing he lost most of his legion all the time. They were the biggest recruiters because they lost so many people in these attrition and the siege stuff. And he was doing it in the name of the Emperor, but here you got the Imperial Fists. They built a fucking fort. And, they get parades and shit, whereas everybody's like, okay, cool, we'll send maybe some more tanks to. So he just becomes very embittered by this, by the fact that Daddy didn't love me, but in an almost legit way. So, and then of course
It's easy to sympathize when you're like, wow, this Imperium kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But then they're like, oh man,
then you went too far.
you took it in directions I was not approving of.
You went too far with it.
Back it up.
Conrad Kurz could see the future and knew exactly what the Emperor's plans were for him.
You knew exactly how he was going to die too.
And was kind of pissed off about it from the start. Also knew that he was created to be this.
Yep.
Usually it's around this point that we start wrapping up because we are running out of things to say. Clearly, we are
we
nowhere
could
done
go
with
forever.
potential
Oh,
forever. There are podcasts that do nothing but talk about Warhammer fluff for over 100 episodes.
One of my favorites is still going.
It's Lorehammer.
Yeah,
It's
Lorehammer. Yeah, and they continue to fight. And they've been talking about just the lore, straight up lore, this entire time, and they are not running out.
So, I'm going to ask here,
Yeah.
do you have any last thoughts before we dive in? Just so we don't do this for another 3 hours.
Oh, no, that's fine. Let me think for a second. Last thought.
And so we can do more episodes in the future about this.
Sure.
If your favorite army is the Dark Eldar, you're a sick fuck.
Well, yes, because that just means your favorite army is the, TV bad description or bad understanding of BDSM.
That's a very kind way of putting that.
Dialed up to 20.
Yeah.
That's all.
Buddy who bets in Dark Eldar, but they're, extra horny, violent drow.
Oh, we could go into 10,000 more words about the Eldari too. When I first came in, it was the same thing as the Space Marines. People were like, "Oh, space elves," and then you started to look into their lore and look into the characters, and you're like, "Wow, this is a massively compelling universe here that I haven't even gotten into. I've just been reading Imperium stuff. I need to get into some of the more Eldar stuff because it's one of the only other non-human factions that really has good material to it."
Ooh, I actually have a different last thought.
go ahead.
Fuck yes, squats are back.
Yeah, no shit, dude.
Squats.
Space
Dwarves.
Oh, yeah, okay. That was one of the things. I'm like, maybe I'll play. And they're like, Space Dwarves don't exist anymore. I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, they do. A whole new line of miniatures and a codex and everything.
Are
coming
they
out.
part of the Imperium?
Yep.
Okay.
No. They're all their own thing. Sorry, they're their own empire.
Yeah,
The
they're
Legions
not
of
squats
Voltun.
anymore, right? Like
No,
Sons
yeah,
of Votan or something like that.
Sons of Voltun, yeah.
Of course.
Are they still space bikers?
Not from what I've been seeing. Not from the
Okay.
models. They've got some super mighty.
Because that was the part that was. I mean,
stuff.
I grew up around bikers, so I know exactly how
wait.
dumb part of the culture is.
So wait a
but
minute.
no.
If there are
Hey man, you want to start
those-
buying me armies? We can possibly talk about it.
You know?
I shouldn't have said that. That was a mistake.
On the next episode, when Thumbs is a hardcore
I run
40K
4
player.
podcasts. 3 podcasts these days.
I'm not going to say any more.
Okay.
No, I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a blast.
For the books itself, I can recommend Marnius Calgar to anyone who is interested in 40k or like me has some kind of side awareness to it. Sisters of Battle, you better like Sisters of Battle before you step into it, is my opinion. If you want to, like, I'm kind of curious about what they are. I don't know what you should check out. Probably not this one. And I'm sorry to the creators.
But it's still a decent book.
Yeah, it
but it's
wasn't-
just not it's not your beginner book.
Yeah. It was for people who already know what's going on.
Yeah, it's for fans of the Sisters of Battle.
Yes.
Any recommendations?
You know what? Fuck it. Since I've brought them up enough times, I will recommend the first book in the Night Lords trilogy, Soul Hunter by Aaron Dembski Bowden. Follows the 7th company of the 10th Warband Night Lords. God, I hope I got that right. Anyway, it's First Claw. It's Talos Valkorin, the prophet of the Night Lords, who has inherited their Primarch's gift of foresight.
Also his nutty butterness. Also his
Oh,
craziness.
yeah. And him having to deal with the situation they find themselves in because, the Night Lords are not in a good place. Have not been since the Scattering, to the point where theoretically there could be loyalist Night Lord legions out there still. Or warbands.
You can thank the Dark Angels for that. What up?
Yeah. But it is some of the best just chaos books written, in my opinion. Just in general, gives them a depth while still not shying away from the fact that no, you're reading a book about a bunch of fucking psychopaths.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just that Talos at least is old school Night Lord, which is more what I like, which is like not trucking with ruinous powers and
Right.
being a traitor rather than chaos.
Right.
Okay, I can see how that'd be interesting.
And they don't necessarily consider themselves to be traitors. They consider the Emperor to have betrayed them. So,
Interesting. Malark?
Anything from the Horus Heresy. I mean, honestly, like starting at the beginning with the first heretic, that's kind of the beginning point, but really any of the books can be standalone. Like you can go in and pick up any of the Horus Heresy books, whichever one speaks to you. I went in and got the Dark Angels ones first because that's
I was
where
going to say,
started.
is there one that you, like, while reading this would be like, this would be a
Descent.
super good start point?
Descent of Angels was was actually where I started in the Horus Heresy, and it was fantastic. But honestly, my favorite Horus Heresy book so far would be Mechanicum. And it talks about the beginnings of the Dark Mechanicum and like the history of the Mechanicum and like the pacts that I was talking about, the fact that there are empires existing next to each other. Like all of that stuff is in Mechanicum, which is also just like technologically fascinating. Just it's a really, really cool world. So I mean, again, any of the Horus Heresy is cool, but if you like shiny stuff like I do, Mechanicum probably.
I'm having fucking flashbacks to the fact that you used to make fun of me for reading the Rogue Squadron books from Star Wars.
Because it was Star Wars. People were getting blown to pieces every 5 seconds. It was hippie stuff.
Not Rogue. Anyways, real quick, it's fine if you don't. Do you remember the names of those authors of those 2 books?
Oh, Lord.
I know that's a heavy question for a 60-book series, but
I know John French is heavily contributing. He's the one. He's wrote the one that I'm reading right now.
I just mean for the 2 books that you. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
And probably Dan Abnett. He writes a lot of the Dark Knight.
look, I got
Mechanicum.
And Descent of Angels.
Graham McNeil's Mechanicum.
Graham and Neil. Yep.
I recognize that name just from seeing it on covers.
He's a huge contributor, and he's fantastic.
Mitchell Scanlon for Descent of Angels.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I would any of it. Honestly, I love the. I've yet to read a Warhammer book that I did not like.
I started one of the Horus Heresy book audiobooks, and like the first time I was listening to it, I was into it, and the second time, for whatever reason, I was in the wrong headspace, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go back to it. It's like, I fucking hate this. So I'm not challenging your recommendation. I just feel like I can see why it's working for you.
It's a violent philosophy. Like every single one of the books asks a question. Like it's all about what is loyalty. You know, who should one be loyal to? What sort of concepts, what sort of approaches to war are justified? What is justice? Like, there's a whole lot of deep stuff that gets asked in between people getting blown apart by, some
rocket launcher machine
Oh
guns.
yeah, that's good stuff.
Let's see. I've got two quick. One, just because I thought of it a second ago. Audible has been redoing all of the Rogue, or probably not Audible, but they're on Audible. All of the Rogue Squadron books from the Star Wars Legends stuff back in the day. And those have only ever been collected in the abridged forms as audiobooks before. And the abridged forms are fucking awful. Like, a 12-hour audiobook got condensed down to 3, which means they cut out, like, 75% of the book.
Yeah, what's the point of even... Just get Spark Notes at that point.
I remember not realizing that and putting on the audiobook and being like, it's been a while since I read this book, but... Didn't, 10 chapters happen between this scene?
Don't you hate that?
But they're just really well done. Like, all of the Star Wars audiobooks right now are being pretty well. And because they're doing some of the old school expanded universe stuff, but they've had time and separation, they can just pick the ones worth reading. Which, with the expanded universe, is not all of them.
Sure.
And then the one I was really going to do is Wicked plus Divine by Kieran Gillen and J.B. McKelvey. I might have done it as a recommendation before. I put it in one of the top 5 comic books of the last 20 years. It's fucking incredible. Kieran Gillen wrote Marnius Calgar, which is why I'm thinking of this. The plotline of this, Gillen does a lot of music-based stuff. Music ties into a lot of his comics, and he actually did a dance party at San Diego Comic-Con for 10 years straight. DJ'd it. But Wicked plus Divine, I've tried to get you to read it before, but you in fiction.
Yeah.
Every, I think it's 80 years, the gods come back. They live for 1 year where they are fucking rock stars. And then they all die. Might be 2 years, but... And in this case, they are literal rock stars. So it is an examination of our parasocial relationship with celebrities, what it's like to be a celebrity, and connecting it to mythology. So, Odin does a whole lot of, techno... weird techno shit. And it's kind of creepy about it. Who's the wine god in the Greeks? I'm blanking his name.
Bacchus?
Bacchus, I think it is. Does
Dionysus.
Dionysus does a whole bunch of drug-based rave stuff.
Makes sense.
And he gets to enjoy the rave experience, but he hasn't been able to stop the rave. He just has a constant rave going for the last, at the start of this, year, 6 months, whatever it is. He can't sleep. He looks after the people in it, but it's kind of coming apart. And it's how would we deal with gods in the social world? There's fan bases, there's fucking fan groups on Facebook that are tracking these people.
Right.
Lucifer is basically David Bowie.
Nice.
In this. And she kills someone, or possibly kills someone and is accused of murder. What does she do? If, she can blow someone's head up by snapping her fingers. She could just leave prison if she wanted to. Does she stay and go through this court case while everyone is pretty sure that she killed this guy because she's Lucifer?
Right.
Or does she just leave? Does that cause more problems? There's only 10 or 15 of these gods. Do they they could do untold damage, but the whole world against them, would they survive? In the meantime, there's this fangirl who's kind of the main character who wants to be one of these gods so bad. She's connecting with the music of these gods, following all of their stuff in only the way a 15-year-old can.
Yeah.
In the same way that we followed all of our bands that we connected so closely to at 15.
Oh yeah.
And then she gets it. Spoiler alert, she becomes a god. What happens then when you suddenly achieve everything you've ever wanted and you've kind of slowly entered into this world of like seeing your celebrities, meeting your celebrities, fucking a couple of your celebrities. She's like 18, not 15.
Okay.
But, sorry, I caught myself there. But you know,
Wait a second.
she's a teenager still living at home, but she is barely an adult. I mean, most of these people are like early 20s, late teens, early 20s. They're not like, you know, one of the gods was, I think Hermes was like 12. So he's not involved in the fucking stuff, but he's like, great news, I'm a god. Bad news, I'm not going to make it to 15. How do I live with that?
Depressing.
It's a wild book, and I am just scratching the surface of like all of the things that it tackles. And I haven't even finished the series, and I list it as one of the best series of the past 20 years. So yes, Wicked plus Divine, and it's a plus sign. That's my recommendation. Malark, thank you so much for joining us, as always. Where can people find you?
I'm at the Art of Wargaming. We're on Facebook and Instagram, but to be honest, I don't post there very often. You're better off listening to the show itself, which can be found on Spotify and at and I think it's part of the Earworm network.
So it's anywhere where, if you can find this, you can find that. It is The Art of Wargaming. Make sure you have the when looking it up. It is part of the name, and is why we abbreviate it as TOW.
Unintentional, I assure you.
Next time, we will be doing we're doing a lot of stuff we've been talking about since the very beginning.
That's right.
We will be tackling our first Grendel by Matt Wagner episode. We don't know yet if it's going to be all of the Grendel episodes in a row or just
here and
as
there
we go. But I love doing the in the row ones, but it just takes forever. We will be covering the era of the quote-unquote original Grendel, all of the Hunter Rose stories, which is what the upcoming Netflix series is going to be covering. So,
and like if you happen to own the omnibus editions or know someone who does or can get your hands on them, it's basically the first omnibus.
And if you don't, good fucking luck. They're like $900 when they're out of print. They are impossible to find. But in the meantime, we're your generals of nerdery. I'm Zach.
I'm Tyler.
Dismissed.
Hi everybody, General Tyler here. If you like the show, please hit subscribe however you're listening to us right now. Also, if you could rate and review us however you're listening to us right now, or preferably over at Apple Podcasts, we would super appreciate it, as the whole world is ran on algorithms, and we want to be all up in them, getting our voice out to more places. Also, tell your friends. We always appreciate that. If you want to get in contact with us, ask us questions, give us comments, email us generalnerderypod@gmail.com. You can also contact us through our website, www.generalnerdcast.com. While you're there, check out all of our back catalog, or click the links up at the top, as we are part of the Earworm Podcast Network. Go check out all of our sister shows. We're involved with most of them, so if you already like listening to us talk, it might be in your best interest. And if you want to check out everything from the network, head over to earworm.com, EARVVYRM.com. We'd super appreciate it. Love you all. Have a good one.